afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, after months of delays, Senate President Chiz Escudero says the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte could start early if the plenary approves a motion to convene the impeachment court. The VP's team asserts she is ready to face a trial. U.S. President Donald Trump defends his decision to deploy the National Guard to Los Angeles. That's as tensions flare between troops and protesters. Carlos Alcaraz and Coco Gauff rule the 2025 French Open. And several Fil-Ams win in this year's Tony Awards. Thanks for joining us. We begin with Senate President Chiz Escudero floating the possibility that the impeachment trial of VP Sara Duterte could start sooner. Joining us for details is Dexter Ganibe of Abante Radio. Dexter, ano pa ang mga sinabi ni SP Chiz?
May ang sabi ni Senate President Chiz Escudero kanina, pwede na mag-convene ang Senado bilang impeachment court ng mas maaga doon sa itinakdang June 11. Pero ito ay may mabigat na kondisyon. Sinabi ni Senate President Chiz Escudero, agarang pagbobotohan oras na may mga magmosyon sa plenaryo mamaya na mag-convene na ang impeachment court. Pero kailangang mayorya ng mga senador ang pumabor na baguhin ang impeachment calendar. Kailangan niya na idahan lahat sa tamang proseso at kailangang pagbotohan ng mga senador. Bilang Senate President, si Escudero ang nagtatakda ng calendar ng impeachment habang nakareses o wala sa regular session ang Senado. Paliwanag ni Escudero, wala namang umalma o nagmosyon ng ikalendaryo niya sa June 11 ang pag-convene ng impeachment court mula sa unang itinakda na June 2. May ibig sabihin yan, hanggat walang nagmomosyon mamaya, alas 3 mamayang hapon, magsisimula yung plenaryo. Kung wala talagang magmomosyon, nakapako na ang impeachment, ang lahat ng mga aktibidad kaugnay ng impeachment ni VP Sara sa June 11. Mai?
Dexter, meron nga bang magfa-file ng motion to start the impeachment trial earlier?
Kanina, pagkatapos ng press briefing o press con ni Senate President Chiz Escudero, ay agad sumunod na nagsagawa ng press con itong si Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Ontiveros. At sinabi niya, wala naman sa konstitusyon yung binabanggit ni Senate President Chiz Escudero na kailangang pagbotohan kung gustong mag-convene na ng mas maaga ang impeachment court dahil hawak na nga ng Senado yung mga articles of impeachment. Pero sabi niya, kung kinakailangan, dalawa sila ni Senate Minority Leader Coco ang magmumosyon mamaya sa plenaryo para masimulan na itong lahat ng mga aktibidad may kaugnayan sa impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At binanggit nga niya kanina, igigiit nila sa plenaryo na manunumpa na si SP Chiz Escudero bilang siyang tagapangasiwa ng impeachment court, na susundan naman ng panunumpa ng mga lahat ng mga senador bilang mga senator judges. At kasunod niyan, sabi ni Senator Ontiveros kanina, kailangan na rin mabasa mamaya yung mga articles of impeachment. Kasunod niyan ay ang pagko-convene na ng Senado bilang impeachment court. Sabi niya, hindi naman siguro tatagal yan ng 1 oras lahat ng mga aktibidad na yon. Kung kaya nga daw ng Senado na umabot ang hating gabi para sa mga iba pang aktibidad, bakit hindi kayang gawin mamaya na abutin sila ng gabi kung kinakailangan para dito sa pagpapatuloy na ng mga impeachment proceedings sa kaso na impeachment laban kay VP Sara. Mai?
Okay, Dexter, balikan lang natin yung mga nangyari nung nakaraang araw kasi nga na-delay na itong impeachment trial ng matagal at nagkaroon na nga ng mga protesta, may prayer vigil na nga. And several schools and organizations have been pushing for the Senate to proceed with this impeachment trial dahil doon sa sinasabing draft resolution to kill the impeachment. Ano na ba ang latest doon? At ano nang sinabi ni SP Chiz tungkol dito?
Kaugnay doon sa resolution na sinasabing magdi-dismiss doon sa impeachment case ni VP Sara, Ayaw magkomento ni Senate President Chiz Escudero dahil sabi niya hanggat hindi na ihahain sa Senado yung resolusyon ay hindi maaring pag-usapan. Sabi niya, draft pa lang naman ito, kung gusto nilang mapag-usapan, ihahain nila. So far, hanggang kanina, sinabi niya wala pa namang naghahain ng anumang resolusyon para i-dismiss itong nasabing impeachment case laban kay VP Sara.
Okay, abangan namin ang mga pangyayari dyan sa Senado. Meantime, maraming salamat sa pagre-report Dexter Ganibe ng Abante Radyo. Despite what it calls a flawed impeachment complaint, the defense team of Vice President Sara Duterte is ready for her trial. But it stands firm the impeachment process must never be used to harass, silence, or eliminate political opponents. Should the trial proceed, the defense says it will expose what it describes as baseless accusations against the VP. Lawmakers in the House prosecution panel cautioned the Senate against rushing VP Sara Duterte's impeachment trial. Our Mojo, Joan Manalo, is monitoring developments at the Batasang Pambansa. Joan, what can you tell us?
The House Quad Committee has begun its 15th public hearing today as it is set to adjourn on Wednesday. The Quadcom is expected to present its final committee reports and recommendations, especially those related to POGO operations, extrajudicial killings, money laundering, illegal drugs, and former President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs. Earlier, before the hearing started, some congressmen have expressed their sentiments on Senator Francis Tolentino's proposed timeline for Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, which will run for 19 days from June 11 to 30, among which were Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sendanya, who said that the impeachment needs a fair day in court, emphasizing that the impeachment proceedings should not be rushed. He also reminds the Senate that it is their mandate to try the Vice President who was already impeached by the House.
Dapat maalala nila na ang mandato ng Senado ay litisin, hindi palusutin. Alam natin pag minadali, kulang yung oras sa dami ng mga ebidensya na ipipresenta. So again, sana ma-realize nila na it's always the Constitution over personal ambition. Yun ang mahalaga.
Mai Sendanya further stressed that the 7 articles of impeachment must be exhausted and that the evidence supporting the impeachment must also be presented for the proceedings to be ideal and justified. Meanwhile, one Righty Party List Representative Rog Gutierrez, who will serve as one of the House prosecution panel, said the proposed 19-day timeline isn't enough to discuss and explain the 7 articles of impeachment as well as present corresponding evidence.
I think hindi po siya sapat if we take a look. Kung tama po yung nakita kong timeline, parang 2 araw lang yung nabibigay for presentation of evidence. And if you're going to divide it into yung 7 articles, that really will not be enough time.
Gutierrez says, he also says that the prosecution maintains that the impeachment can be crossed over to the 20th Congress amid some critics saying that it is not possible. And those are the latest here from the House of Representatives. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Joan Manalo, reporting from the Batasang Pambansa. Meanwhile, progressive groups take to the streets to urge the Senate to immediately start the impeachment trial. Bayan and other allied groups gathered along Jokno Boulevard in Pasay City to start a 3-day protest action. Aside from the impeachment issue, protesters also called on senators to immediately ratify the legislated wage hike. The National Wages Productivity Commission warns against substantially increasing the daily minimum wage. On Billionaire News channels at the forefront, its executive director says such an increase may weaken the labor market and affect MSME enterprises. The statement comes after House lawmakers approved a 200 peso wage hike.
We just mentioned there that a significant increase in or a substantial increase in the minimum wage may potentially weaken the labor market institutions that we have right now. For example, it may pose problems in terms of complying with labor standards, especially our micro, small, and medium enterprises. It can also increase the informality in our establishments.
Meanwhile, Ibon Foundation Executive Director Sunny Africa called the hike a win-win for both employers and workers. He explains economic progress depends on consumer spending, and that begins with giving communities real purchasing power. He also calls for a major overhaul of economic indicators, saying they no longer reflect the reality faced by ordinary Filipinos. He adds current policies tend to favor big business over workers.
Why are workers said to be inflationary when they demand higher wages, but businesses, when they increase their prices para maigis yung profit margin nila, hindi sinasabing inflationary yon? Hindi ba this kind of a distortion there? Sa amin, it's that attitude nga na we're so accustomed to thinking that workers are a burden. We're so accustomed to thinking that the real drivers of the economy are the business owners.
With only 3 days left before the deadline, the Commission on Elections warns of penalties for candidates who will fail to submit their Statement of Contributions and Expenditures, or SOSE. Based on COMELEC data as of June 7, only 8 out of 66 senatorial bets have filed their SOSE. As for party list bets, only 19 out of 156 have submitted their reports, along with just 3 political parties. The COMELEC reiterates that all candidates, win or lose, are required to file their SOSE by June 11. There will be no extensions. President Bongbong Marcos inspects school preparations in Bulacan with just a week to go before the new academic year opens. Joining us for details, our Mojo Ivy Reyes, who's monitoring developments at an elementary school in Bulacan. Ivy, go ahead.
Mai, just 1 week before the school year starts, President Bongbong Marcos joins teachers here at Tibagan Elementary School in San Miguel, Bulacan, to kick off the annual Brigada Escuela program, or the Education Department's National School Maintenance Week. My termite is the biggest problem here, as out of 17 classrooms, 14 have been infested with termites. The lack of facilities like libraries is another problem here, especially for the school year. We spoke with the principal this morning, and he said they're expecting some 30 or 40 more students to enroll starting today. In case of classroom shortage, a shifting classroom schedule is their next resort. The president, along with Deputy Secretary Sonny Angara, went through the classrooms under maintenance as well as the designated area for Tibagan's Khan Academy classroom. This is the digital classroom for students and parents to further Filipinos' digital literacy and bridge the education gap among learners. DICT Secretary Henry Aguda also examined the internet connection needed for Bulacan's e-learning. In this classroom, there are a number of learning tablets and television units ready for the school year. And from the president's observations, Bulacan is lacking clean water and restrooms. He also pointed out that classrooms here should have long been rehabilitated, as they remain Marcos-type buildings, or those established during the late Marcos Sr.'s time. This school year, the Education Department is expecting 27 million learners. And since there's still 1 more week before classes start, I'd like to remind parents that the Trade Department is a price guide for school supplies. Just visit PTI's official website for your reference. And that's the latest here from Bulacan. Mai?
Thank you, Ivy Reyes, reporting to us from San Miguel, Bulacan. We begin world news in the U.S., where protests extend to a 3rd day in Los Angeles against federal immigration raids. Tensions flared in downtown L.A. after President Donald Trump ordered the deployment of the National Guard to quell the riots. Clashes erupted as troops pushed back demonstrators that gathered outside a federal building. Several protesters were detained. The rallies began last Friday when the Immigration and Customs Enforcement carried out raids as part of Trump's sweeping crackdown on undocumented migrants. Meantime, California Governor Gavin Newsom and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth traded insults on social media. That's after Hegseth threatened to also deploy the Marines. Newsom shot back, calling it deranged behavior. Hegseth responded, saying deranged is allowing your city to burn and law enforcement to be attacked. President Trump defends his decision to deploy the National Guard to LA. He says the move is to ensure strong law and order. He also warns of deploying troops everywhere.
I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden. We're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, you know, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military.
An analyst believes Trump's use of the National Guard could have a chilling effect on dissent.
It seems like a stretch. When I think about the National Guard, I think about the 1992 Los Angeles riots. I think about when President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1965 sent in the National Guard during the Civil Rights era. I think of it as, you know, really kind of widespread, you know, disorder in the streets, the need to tamp things down. And this seems premature and closer to just using the military to really stop or suppress dissent. It gives the federal government, you know, sort of more power, more authority versus the state and local authority. We got this compromise at the constitutional founding, dividing power between local and state government and the federal government, right? And the federal government is supposed to have limited and enumerated powers.
Filipinos in LA are advised to exercise caution and vigilance. The Philippine Consulate General there also tells the community to avoid any crowd buildups that may lead to disturbances. It also posted its number for Filipinos who may need assistance. Los Angeles is home to some 500,000 Filipinos. Israeli forces intercept a British-flagged charity vessel aiming to deliver desperately needed aid to the Gaza Strip. Among those on board, activist Greta Thunberg and European Union lawmaker Rima Hassan. The vessel left Sicily June 6, defying a 17-year naval blockade imposed by Israel after Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007. Israel calls the ship a propaganda stunt for Hamas, saying humanitarian aid may be delivered through an Israeli port. We're taking a break. Up ahead, Carlos Alcaraz beats Yannick Sinner in an epic French Open final to retain his crown. That and more when Newsfeed at Noon returns. We begin sports news in the French Open, where Carlos Alcaraz retains his crown in the longest final in tournament history. The 22-year-old Spaniard overcame a grueling 5-set showdown against top seed Jannik Sinner, securing his status as the Prince of Clay in the post-Nadal era. Alcaraz saved 3 match points and rallied from 2 sets down to win. The game lasted over 5 hours. His victory snapped Sinner's 20-match winning streak at the majors and marked his 5th straight win. Alcaraz praised his rival in a victory speech.
Honestly, I know how hard you're chasing this tournament or every tournament. I'm pretty sure you're gonna be champion not once but many times. It's a privilege to share the court with you in every tournament, making history with you.
In women's action, Coco Gauff claimed her 2nd Grand Slam title by taking down top seed Aryna Sabalenka in a hard-fought 3-setter. Gauff became the first American woman to win at Roland Garros since Serena Williams in 2015. A formidable display for Filipino gymnastics king Carlos Yulo at the Artistic Gymnastics Asian Championships. The double Olympic gold medalist ruled the floor exercise event, capturing his 4th straight gold in his pet event. Yulo also won bronze medals in the all-around event, vault, and parallel bars. Meantime, Kaloy's younger brother, Carl Eldrew, also captured a silver medal in the vault finals of the junior division. In entertainment, the cast of the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon walks the blue carpet at the film's Hollywood premiere. They include Mason Thamesov, who plays Hiccup, and Nico Parker, who stars as Astrid. Gerard Butler also reprises his role from the animated movies as Hiccup's warrior father, Stoic the Vast.
It's bloody amazing. It's wonderful, incredible characters, it's warm, it's uplifting, it's a great positive message for people, it's hilarious. I mean, it works on so many different grounds.
There's an excitement that a lot of people love this film, and we need to do that justice, you know, and also have the freedom to make the film we want to make, you know, which I think we've done it.
And a star-studded night and a Pinoy pride moment. Several Filipino Americans win in this year's Tony Awards. Among them, Darren Criss, who won Best Lead Actor in a Musical for Maybe Happy Ending. Nicole Scherzinger, meanwhile, bagged the Best Lead Actress award for Sunset Boulevard. Maybe Happy Ending won Best Musical, while Pulitzer drama Purpose took the Best Play honors for its powerful take on legacy and identity. Our very own Lea Salonga was one of the night's presenters. She even shared an insider's view of the event, posting a photo beside her seat. The glamorous headshot. And another huge K-pop group is coming back to the Philippines this year. Twice will bring their This Is For tour to the Philippine Arena on October 4. The tour kicks off in South Korea next month, days after the release of the group's 4th full-length album. The teaser video for the tour promises a new era for fans. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Billionaire News Channel. Good afternoon.